everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you to all the new subscribers who have joined the channel recently. I hope to keep growing the channel and keep growing my garden as well. And that's actually one of the things we're going to do today is something not new, but we're going to be planting something. And down here in eastern North Carolina, in growing zone 8B, we're still kind of in summer. We don't hit fall until sometime in mid to late November. It's the South. What do you want? But I started growing these pampas grasses 2 years ago, and they are very pot bound. And I took one about a month ago or so, and I put it into a pot up on my deck. It's not going to stay there forever. It's a temporary thing. It'll probably be there for 2, maybe 3 years. It'll grow up, it'll look nice, but at some point I know it's going to become very pot bound. It's a grass. Roots grow up pretty quickly, it grows pretty quickly. But for a couple of years I can enjoy it up on the deck and it just adds a little something there. I'm okay with that. I can either then take it and plant it somewhere out here in the garden, or I could throw it out altogether. But this one and these two have been in these pots, like I said, for about 2 years now. And I've had ideas as to what I want to do with them, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I just haven't gotten around to it. So today, it's not that terribly hot out, and going into next week, we're going to be getting much cooler. And by much cooler, I mean like mid to high 70s, which is very weird, but it'll actually be very good for the plant because it won't stress the plant out as much. I may also wind up starting to do some fall planting next week, but we'll have to see, because even though the temperature will be going down, I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to spike right back up. So the last thing I want to do is plant plants into the ground that are young. I'll pick, for instance, this privet. And although I think this one might do okay in the ground, maybe it's still kind of young, and I would prefer it to be a little on the cooler side for a longer period of time before the first freeze. So if we have a month or two of mid-70s weather, that'll be more than enough time for that guy to really get his roots into the ground, get settled before winter. If you're new to the channel, I'm in eastern North Carolina, growing zone 8B. My ground never freezes here, but we do get freezes in the air, and that can affect the plants. I've had many boxwood croak because I planted them too young and they didn't have enough time to root into the ground, and I've had a few other plants die on me. Again, pushing those boundaries of what I can and cannot do in the environment. Either way, grass is pretty hardy, and I'm sure this thing will be dying to get out of this pot. So let's go plant it now. If you follow me over my community page, I recently posted a picture of this. I just started taking some bricks that I had, and I started laying them out in this pattern to create a bit of edging. This spot right here is obviously right here by my front walkway. This entire area leading all the way down to the driveway pad is unedged, as is most of my garden actually. But the flower garden has got timber edging on it, which is fine, but then I have areas which is not edged, and the front of the vegetable garden's not edged, and it's one of those little things that's just been gnawing away at me, and I'm like, well, I'll do it later because there's bigger projects I want to do. Well, late one evening, it was relatively cool out, and I had these bricks laying around, and I thought, maybe let's try something. Let's just stick them on, drop them here on the ground. I did really nothing fancy. A little bit of a ditch, not much. I didn't even try to like level. There's nothing holding these bricks in place other than good intention and gravity. But I put them down, and I think it looks pretty nice. Some of you on the community page thought it looked nice too. So if you don't follow me on the community page, go over there every once in a while. Check out what I've got posted up on the community page. It could be a photo of something I've done that it doesn't necessarily require an entire video, or a quiz or a poll, or whatever it is I'm posting up over there. But I try to post that community page at least maybe 3 to 4 times a week. I try, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, but head over to that community page, and there's nothing that you have to go check on every single day, but maybe a couple times a week. Either way, that's my little bramble about that. What do you guys think about this? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'm going to try to get more bricks and then carry this all the way down, and then finally have this entire driveway side bed area edged, as it were. Like I said, none of this is being held into place by anything other than gravity, basically. And I don't plan on changing that, because if I change my mind and I don't like this, or I want to change it up in the future, I don't want to have to break up anything or dig out gravel or anything fancy or pull up edging that you would normally use to hold something in like this. I don't want to do any of that. What I got going on here now is I'm pretty happy with. And like I said, if I change my mind in the future, I can always pull the bricks up and reuse them elsewhere. Enough of that, let's go plant some grass. Behind me here is a pampas grass, and it's flowering. It's doing its thing now, which looks really nice. I should have cut this down and possibly divided it in the early spring, but I didn't. So here it is now, and it looks massive, and it actually looks pretty good. And what it'll probably start doing in the next year or two is getting basically dead in the center, I think. So I am going to have to at some point probably dig it up and divide it, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. If you've ever grown pampas grass before, I have any clue about how to take care of it, let me know in the comments below. I see a lot of it growing around here locally, which is kind of why I bought it. I also like the look of it and the sound the grasses make, the tall grasses make. The other thing I like about it is it sort of hides some of my sins. What I'm not going to show you is what is all around it, which is basically another hot mess, which I'll address with you guys at another time. Some people aren't particularly keen on it. Again, I kind of like it. I like the white fluffy frillies, and I also like the size of it. I like the height, I like the size. And you can't really see what's around underneath it, so I don't see any of the weeds that might be down there or anything else. So what I'm going to do is right over here, I'm going to plant the other pampas grass. Now, the reason I want to plant that one there is simply because it's going to hide the sin of what was there. Now, when I first moved into the house there's always been a bit of a mound. Once upon a time, there was a tree there. Got cut down, but you could see the ground around it is sort of elevated. And I had let it get out of control so far as the grass growing up around it, and anthills formed, and they became mounds, and their mounds were standing this tall. It was a crazy thing. So last night I took not a pickaxe, what do you call that thing, a mattox? I think that's what you call it. And I chopped down the mounds and I broke up the ground, and it's still a bit of a mound and it still looks a bit of a mess. Believe it or not, it actually looks better than it did. But this area is still a bit of an eyesore. So my plan is to plant this pampas grass. We've probably all done this a billion times before. I have to actually break the roots here. So all the roots are trying to grow out the bottom here. I'm just going to try to tease or break up the roots as much as possible, just to loosen them up, get them growing out of the shape of the pot. I think that'll work. Pop it in the ground, tuck in, and there we go. I'm going to take the extra and spread it all along here. This is a bit of a low spot right here. And what will happen over the next few months is, obviously, this will become established well before the winter, and the surrounding area will start to recover. Grass will start to grow up through. I'm sure some weeds will push through. I can mow around this, hopefully, for the remainder of the year. I don't think it'll be a problem. I may do some more smoothing out or knocking down of edges that I have here. Again, it's all a bit of a mess. And were I a younger man, I would spend a day and a half trying to smooth and level this whole area out. But I'm not. So I'm going to use the pampas grass, which hopefully next year will be this tall and maybe this wide, to start to help cover up this area. Again, the grasses and the weeds and whatnot will all grow back pretty quickly. But now that I've leveled the ground somewhat, I can run over it with the mower so I can keep it all in check. And then in 2-3 years, it will be this wide, just like the other one I was standing in front of a second ago, and it will cover up this mess. I'm still not sure about the other two, and I think I have some ideas for the other two pampas grasses. I'm thinking about putting one right here between this one and the older one, but I'm not sure about the one I'm thinking about putting here. And then I might plant the other one on the other side of this one. And that one I'll talk about on another day. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Short project. A couple of new things happening here in the garden. And if you guys have any questions, comments, etc., please feel free to leave them below. If you haven't visited my website, please go over to growinggreenfinger.com. Got all sorts of good stuff happening over there all the time. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.